a very just powerful movie. There's so much to go with this too, and I think the tone for me is at the end of this movie. For you, do you want people to sit in quiet, or do you want them to clap? Because there's such a feeling to it. You know what I'm saying? Where it almost is like, if I clap, what am I, how do you, so what do you feel? How do you see that?
Gosh, I love that question so much. Just because of the way that I think, I don't want to respond in either of those. I want them to do what they want to do, but I love that there's a tension there, which speaks to, I think, some of the elements of the film in which we come to these spaces to be entertained, but what happens when the entertainment ties into real world issues also that have real world consequences and move us in the way that reminds us of that. It's tough.
And, when we have a world that's made in POV, but at the same time, I almost see it like Point of Pain at the same time, too. So, what are the truths you wanted to kind of convey with Point of V?
I wanted to have someone just experience what the world looks like as best as conceptually possible from another person's eyes. There's that old saying, which is a saying because it's impossible. You don't know what life's like till you walk in someone else's shoes. There's something about having the world respond to you as someone else that allows people, I think, to recognize that the world making machine that their brains are and the truth that has come from that is not only just as valid for another person, but possibly undermines the one that you think is the most righteous, which is your own.
I love to ask directors, when you're creating a movie, all these things you hope will work, you're planning on, you're doing all this stuff. But for you, what was that one shot or that moment, whether off screen or on, where you had that old Hollywood moment of we've got a movie now? This is it, that thing. Because there's so much conceptual to this as well, and you're trying to set them in certain places, and something is going to sing for you, and it's either going to be extremely hard or it's going to come right when it needs to.
Yeah, I think you're picking up on mentioning the power of cinema and just the artistic process, which is that like it needs to be elevated out bigger than what you thought. And it was a moment that both the times when Hattie came to visit Elwood, the first time doesn't get to see him, the second time gets to see him, in which Anjanou, in her, ineffable brilliance, like just does little things that are so alive and so real that it just transcends everything that was on paper, everything that was kind of set up by, the DP and set up by production design. And so I'd say that first one, in which she kind of gives Turner that hug. She does it twice. Like what a moment for us.
Now, there's going to be so much deconstruction because there's so many things I think you guys planned on, but maybe there's some things that kind of came about because of like Angelou and stuff like that, and stuff like that too. So, how do you foresee people kind of like deconstructing this in your mind? How did you even deconstruct it as you're editing things together? Because you're in a room going, does that make sense? Or can you see that? Do you see my vision a little bit in there? Maybe they won't catch it, but they'll feel it, kind of thing.
Yeah. I think what we were trying to do, especially in the edit, is guide the images towards the story points, but allow them to be capable of being deconstructed with multiple sites of analysis and also multiple sites of truth. And I think in that sense, which is why I love this film, is that it feels like it's so much, it's almost impossible to hold. You can only break something down to its constituent parts to the degree that you're capable of understanding them, and we can't know everything,
Yeah. Well, we're in a world of imply and inferring, so it's very interesting. So congratulations, and we'll definitely talk about this with many people many times. So,
Please.
Pleasure.
Yeah, it's a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure.